Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is One Day Today. So glad to have you with us today, and I'm excited about our guest who is returning, Wade Bergner, and I'll introduce him in a second. But I just always like to start and get present to what this space is about and why we're here. And might be I have a little bit of a latency issue, so you might see me jumping around. I apologize, but you know, we started this stage a little over 2 years ago when the world kind of started shifting in a way that I don't think anybody really expected. When the pandemic hit, we were originally planning this live event, this big festival, and then the pandemic closed the world down. And since that happened, I think everybody was put in a space where they had to like look at their plans, look at everything changed seemingly overnight, and we decided, how can we bring this space where we can hold the unique gifts of everybody for everyone to receive, and to receive the gifts of all. And that's what this space is about, is that no matter who you are, where you're from, what you believe, what color you are, what size you are, what you look like, your politics, your gender, your religious beliefs, you have something unique. You have something unique that can lift someone else up. You have something unique that can empower people, that can plant seeds of love, of laughter, of beauty, and wonder for yourself, but also for your neighbor, for your family, your friends, your people that you don't even know. Like, we all have that ability. And I think most of my life, I I mean, it seems so simple, but I probably felt powerless to that end. Like, what can I do? I'm only one guy, I'm only one person. What can I really do to make a difference in other people's lives? And I think ultimately, and Wade is no exception. I think when we share ourselves vulnerably and authentically, what we've overcome and faced in our lives, it gives others the power and the courage to do the same. Whatever you're facing, whatever you faced, whatever the monsters and Goliaths and demons of the past have weighed on your possibility that you see in this moment, that you have in every moment, you and I both have. And what can happen when we intentionally choose to use the space that we have and that we are to plant those seeds of love for others, when we share our story, when we share our you know what's happened in our lives, warts and all. And it's an honor and a privilege to have Wade back. Wade is a I'm inspired by him on so many levels. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but he just released a new book, children's book called The Mirror Box, and it's my privilege to welcome Wade Bergner back to the stage. Wade, welcome.
Hey, Avery. Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and uh, part of this amazing thing that you've produced, and the opportunity for people to uh, get more comfortable in their own skin and realize how important each and every one of us is. So uh, to be here is great, and to spend this time together and share this book that I'm so pleased with and proud that I stepped in and just did the uncomfortable and wrote a book that discusses some difficult topics, but are very important for us to grow and to help children as well as families.
Absolutely, yeah. And I want to invite you in a moment to share, the inspiration of the Mirror Box, and where it came from for you, but also, what experience you want to leave children with, and people who read the book. And I know you as someone who's got such a big heart and so committed to serving others and to bringing others, an experience of love and kindness. And I'm I have not read the book yet, but I just knowing you, I just know I'm excited for people to experience this book, and I want to hear from you, from the source, what inspired this. And but real quick, first, I just saw that you got some press here. You're on the town publication on A7 here, page A7. But congrats on the release, and congrats on getting such an amazing reception. But yeah, how has it been just getting the book out?
Oh, it's been amazing. It's been uh, a lot of fun and adrenaline rush to have it all build up. In the first book that I had called the Mirror or the Bird Ride, I learned a great deal, and I left really wanting to correct some of the things that I knew that could be done better from step A to Z, just to really do it right. So putting all that time in recently to build up to have a good launch and to see uh, to give it the opportunity to be able to say it was a children's Amazon bestseller book was important to me to open some doors. So that first few days to make that happen was a great feeling, and to know that it's not about feeding the ego, it's about getting the opportunity to represent the book and the content within the book, because that's really what it's all about. And I think there's that beautiful opportunity with a children's book that you can embed a message within an entertaining and engaging story, and one that can also help parents as well. And this particular one is discusses, or it's about through the passing of a young boy's grandfather. He understands the connection, the deeper connection that they have together, and that how it never leaves. It's always there, and that losing a loved one is uh, it's a transition. It's not a loss, and you'll grieve and go through that. But at the same time, uh, there's a certain level of comfort, I think, in knowing that you have the opportunity to still visit them in their own special way, and uh, do it where you can remember those times together, or see things that show up in your life, and connect the dots and say, that was kind of strange how this particular flower that happened at that particular time, and you remember so strongly that relationship that you had to the one that passed away, be it um, a family member or a pet. And so to write a book like that, it felt really good, and it was scary, but it was also something that I felt, if I were to leave tomorrow, this would be a message that I'd like to try my best to, you know, push on or move forward in. And the series of books that I decided a couple years ago to write is called the Emotional Agility Matters Children's Series, and just a series of books that are designed to instill self-worth, connection, and what I like to call emotional agility. So to create those stories and that time together where parents and children can sit and read and connect and discuss things that they go through on a regular basis, that maybe sometimes are uncomfortable to talk about, and they brush under the rug. And to yeah, to have that opportunity feels, I don't know, nothing's felt any better than that. And it took me 56 years to get here, but I think I feel really good about doing it. So we'll see what happens, but I'm putting a lot of time and effort and energy, and it feels great. And I think that's an important message for all of us, to make time for those things that do light you up, even if it's an hour a day, because it helps everybody around you, not just yourself.
Right. It's beautiful that what you've created and what you're committed to, and instilling that self-worth in the wisdom and in what you've experienced in your life. And I'd love for you to share, you know, what what you had to go through, the loss in your life that, you know, allowed you to receive this and then share this gift with us and with children in the form of this book that you just released.
Yeah. So, well, some of the emotional challenges were, the main one was that I had a reading disability, and that's where the self-worth piece came in. The losing of a loved one. There was uh, my mom, who passed away shortly after college. She was only 48, so I get to experience that difficult time. And then also, just a few years back, losing one of my very best friends to suicide. That really pushed me over and made me reflect on, well, what's important, what feels like, where I'm doing something on purpose, that not just chasing money, or not just chasing after something to I don't know, look a certain way. It's just what means something to you, and this seems to be where I feel the best. And like I said, I'm willing to do the things that maybe make me uncomfortable, but at the same time, I know that I'm doing it for the right reasons. So I guess that those are some of the things. But yeah, when someone yeah takes their life, you really start to yeah wonder, because you never would have suspected it, and you just know that things are tough. Everyone has these challenges, and we all get it. It's sometimes it just feels like you brought up in the beginning, feels like we're just a little speck, and in
Mhm.
reality we are. But that still doesn't. Uh, we still have. There's a reason we're here, and we just do our best to think outside ourselves and how we can help our help others, because it helps ourselves in the process too. And yeah, I'm a work in progress as much, if not more, than anyone else. Just keep learning. Yeah, and that's a message within the book too. To learn, always, always learn.
Yeah, I point taken on, always learning. When we think we're at the top of the mountain, it's either either that means there's another valley to stumble down, or it means you just don't see the next mountain behind that. I I get that. So yeah, no, it's powerful. It seems very counterintuitive. Who it was for me, I lost my grandmother when I was 13, and she was the person I was closest to. Um, and that was my first, like, other than a pet dog, which was sad, but my grandma was like a foundation, a foundation in my life that felt like the carpet was pulled from underneath me. It's like, what is the world without my grandma? What is the world at all? Well, who am I? And like, how to process that. It's scary. As when I was that was when I was 13, and but like, how to process grief and loss, and you know see find the gratitude, find the memories to cherish, and allowing the people we love to live on in our hearts in a way that honors them.
Yeah, and parents, it's hard because the parents are grieving themselves. So it's hard for a
Mhm.
child to, it's hard for them to help, because they're just trying to get through it themselves. And if this can be somewhat of a tool in any way, shape, or form, that would be amazing to think that that would, do that. And the other neat part of the about the story is it's an opportunity for grandparents or parents in general, or just um, to be able to think about, the what what do I want my child or grandchild to remember me by? And is there a hobby or something in particular that they, when they think of you, that's what uh, they think of, a symbol or something. And I think that's a real healthy way to do that. In the mirror box within the story, it's the grandparent, the a grandpa named Papa. He leaves behind a mirror box, yeah, that's locked, and within it is some tokens, and um, to remind him of the time spent together, as well as a note. And it's uh, it's just a neat way to look at things, or to remember how yeah, the connection that you have. And so I last week spoke at a senior center, and tried to take the seniors through a writing exercise, and for them to write into some of this thing, because for me, yeah, writing became a therapy. I didn't uh, I didn't realize how much I enjoyed writing, and that there was something in me until my hand was kind of forced, and I just was searching for something. I didn't know what, but yeah, it changed my perspective on what lit me up, and what made me uh, feel feel good inside. Yeah,
Absolutely. So, like, going through all those experiences in your life, you've kind of found your writing was a way to process what you've experienced, but also you're giving that to other people. I mean, that's like the gift of art in general. But I would just love to hear like what do you want people to be left with, or children to be left with, you know, when they read the Mirror Box? In whether it's something that, is it like an immediate thing, or something that you think that they'll hold on to, for much of their life?
I'd like to think the rest of their life. One, I'd like it to open the lines of communication so they can connect with their parents on these topics, and also, yeah, just to feel and understand that we're so much more than just the physical part of us. There's a part of us that just, regardless of your beliefs, it just doesn't go anywhere. I mean, it's here, regardless of your physical part, and that that's a comforting, at least to me, to know that yeah, we've we're we're here for the eternity, and that there's a special connection that can continue on because of that.
I love that you say that, how you say that. And just what the inquiry that comes to mind, and I want to just dive in there with what you're just saying is, so if we are not our physical beings, who are we? And I love asking you this question.
Oh, I don't have answers, but I could tell you just before in backstage, though, I was taking a second just to look around in the room I'm in here, and realizing uh, how little I have to say about anything. I mean, the things that I'm surrounded with, it's kind of a blur when it all happened, and here there's lights where they need to be right now. They got a green screen. The little things within the room, or the books that I have behind me. I don't know how did it even happen. I just It's just like kind of like one of those things, and I just was uh, I was following things that I really didn't know for sure where they were leading. The invisible string, you might want to call it, but there was just something about these little things that felt right. Didn't know where it was leading, and like I said, I don't know where it goes from here, but it feels right, and I know that like I said, I um, enjoy doing everything that's involved with the process here of representing the content that's within the books. So I hope people take something from that. A few people that see this, or whatever opportunities they get to meet with people one on one or in groups. Yeah, step in and pay attention to those things that feel good, because they're there for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I love that. It's like paying attention. Not well, and first, what you just said about that you don't know, you don't have the answers. I love. I can appreciate that, and it's more of the questions that illuminate and invoke wonder. And again, that for me, that's the power of art. It's not a definite answer. The like the cultural reference a lot of people use is what's, in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the answer is 42, but they don't know what the question. And it's like, we don't know the question. All we know is the answer. And I think that's a powerful place to come from, and as a child, I'm just coming before even coming of age, just in being an adult, but like knowing who I am, or not, I should say, being a child and not knowing who I am, or a child not knowing who they are, and then facing a traumatic incident, facing loss of a family member or a friend or a pet. It kind of shakes the very pillars of, I would even say, what we're just talking about, of who we know ourselves to be, you know, because, my grandma might be gone, but it's like her physical body's gone, but that's not, she wasn't limited to, she was a essence, she was a force of nature. My grandma is a personality that impacted my family in so many ways, and even to this day, even though that was 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago, you know I can feel her in my relationship and my time spending with my aunts, with my mom, my family. And but but I think that very question of who am I mean, that's for me, that's a big question. And I think in general, in anyone's growth in their life, you know, it's hard. And when we lose someone, I feel like that kind of gets that it gets shaken. And I think, especially as a kid, when our first time we experience loss, it's terrifying because we don't know what to do with that.
Yeah. You wonder, yeah, they have a lot of tough questions, and it's hard to really give them clear cut answers. We none of us have it as
Right.
adults, you know. So it's,
Exactly.
but yeah, you lose that sense of security that you maybe had before. And but the beautiful thing is, just in watching and listening to you talk about your grandmother, you can see the energy shift. And
Mm,
when you think about them and you talk about them, they're right there. I mean, that's what that's not going away. They left an
right.
imprint on you that's just permanently part of you. And then that's a good thing. So they live through you, and those the special memories and moments that you connected on that level, where she probably gave you this, grandparents give you that unconditional love that's just intoxicating. It's just a wonderful thing, a gift that they can give. So
Absolutely. When my grandma did die, I was, I would say, I was just starting off being 13, so I'm a teenager. I, my grandma, I was much closer to my grandma at that point in my life than I was anyone else. That's why it was so shaking for me. It was my first real experience of loss, but also it was, you know, and like the first chip of an existential inquiry, and my own, without even knowing it, my own spiritual journey was kind of manifesting itself through the loss of someone that was such a big part of my life. I think allowed me to ask, not maybe not immediately, but ask down the line, like, who am I? And like, in seeing and loving and honoring my grandma, like, even though I don't see her like I used to, because I used to see her all the time and go over, and she would spoil me and cook me all the delicious uh, fettuccine alfredo and grilled cheese sandwiches and all the good stuff. Um, but the memories I'm left with in every aspect, it's just like it's something that is ingrained, that just who she was for me. And I guess, just to turn back to the book, what, so like, when I was just like talking about like the story, um, what do you think, or how do you think, children that read the book, what do you think that they'll be left with, in that, you know, like, going into it, do they know what they're going to expect, or do you think they're going to get what they, what I'm asking? Like, like, there's what you expect and there's what you don't expect. Like, you,
I think that I think um, at least even some of the feedback when I've stopped and dropped the book off, or went to events or different places. Yeah, there's some inquiry, and that's what I kind of wonder. What's the mirror box? I got to read it. So, I think that the let's see, the calm, quiet, and the security, that would be really important, I think, for all of us. And it's, like I said, I'm a work in progress, but to feel those things are important for us, and to visit them in whatever way that we can revisit them. But yeah, that calm, quiet, and security, those things are a really good special thing to bring into a person's life. And maybe this book can help when they're in the deepest, toughest spot, and to break up that tension. And because you can't feel anything but grief if you're just in that space. And to 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 be a little bit, give yourself that little bit of opportunity when it shows up, to relax a little bit, and maybe you'll recall that special relationship that you had, whether you're adult or a child, that meant so much to you and felt so good to be around. And just because they're not physically here doesn't mean you're not able to experience that same real feeling. And that should be, yeah, a comforting thing.
Yes, I love how you put that, and instilling that calm, quiet, and security. And what I really hear you saying, it's like it's a space to grieve, because I'm just really recalling back when I was in that space. Loss for the most part doesn't happen by surprise, or it happen. I mean, it doesn't happen. It only happens by surprise. You never like expect loss to happen when you expect it to happen. It happens. It always happens, and it kind of your whole world just almost like the pandemic. The whole world shifts. It's like your time is relative in a whole new way. It's just you're not your stomach, you're not hungry, you're not, it's just like immediately when you lose someone, you're not, your habits, your routines, your rituals kind of get sidelined because you're just taking all these feelings that are just flooding an abundance of emotion, you know, and being in that space, when I was first, remember just kind of reflecting as you're talking, is that grief is just there's so much mental chatter about shoulda, coulda, woulda, or I miss her, or you're mad that she's gone, and like I didn't get to say this, and we ate we had food the night before at this Mexican restaurant. Did they feed her food that wasn't that contributed to her death? It's like finding all these thoughts bubble up, and when I hear what you're saying, it's like we don't give ourselves when we follow all these thoughts, the chatterbox of the emotional abundance. We don't really have that space, that safety, that security to really just be. And again, in the space of grief, like if there's no space to grieve, you only act out of those the emotional abundance and the chatter in your mind. And that's what I really hear. It's like, and I think that's so powerful, is like how you're creating a space for someone to feel and to grieve.
Yeah, your emotions are at absolute overdrive. There's nobody that can say anything or do anything. You just have to weather the storm. And yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's like I said, the toughest emotion that you can really go through. And so yeah, to just understand that, and just to yeah, to be able to um, take a little take a little time, and realize it's going to be a process. And but yet there, if you give it that little bit of space, I sure like to think that they'll have an opportunity to visit you in their way, their new transition way. uh, and yeah, I never thought I'd really write a book like on this. I didn't even know I was going to start writing books, but yeah, things just changed, and it just feels right to be doing this. And uh, but yeah, just like I said, yeah, I lost my train of thought.
No, I totally. I mean, it really sounds like it was. It wasn't just on Tuesday. I'm going to write a book about called the Mirror Ball. It's something that came to you. It was something that you were inspired by and found a space to create. You know, this book, and I think that's beautiful. And I sense, and I would maybe I don't want to say assume, but I have a sense that there's more to come. And is there more stories to tell from the same place, or new places?
Yeah, that well, I have 5 other manuscripts. I'd like to roll out the entire series. And this one, when I put together and committed to going to the next book, this wasn't even on the radar. And I sent the book to a number of traditional publishers, and just couldn't get my foot in the door. And then I ran across what they call a hybrid publisher, and they have different people that can help in all the different categories. And alongside of that, I wanted to learn not just how to write better, but to write a children's book, because that's really what I wanted. I want to work in that area, and maybe from there, um, I'll write a book. But this is something I was very interested in and just drawn to. So to learn and go to a children's mastermind class and meet in a group right on a regular basis that discusses the little details about what it takes to create an impactful children's book, or something that is a page turner, and all the little things that you wouldn't really know until you go there. It's one thing to write or put out a bunch of words, and it 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 sounds good, but there's little things that you don't know about, that a children's book, for instance, it really needs to be under 1,000 words, usually 600 to 800 words. So you better make every word count. And children, their attention span is, well, not that adults are any better, but it's very thin. So
Yeah.
just for each and every page, you want to make sure it's a page turner. So the illustrations are a huge part, but if the content's not there, that's not going to do any good either. So there was, yes, some real key focal points to work on and dwell on. And when I went to this with this hybrid publisher, I had two other manuscripts that I thought for sure one of those two would be what I was going to do. It just felt so right. But then after they reviewed it, they liked it. But then that whole word count became an issue, and I was in between what you call a chapter book and a a picture book, um, and so I was sat with it, and then I kind of, with a book, it's just like working with a, you know I suppose, like music. I'm not a musician or an artist working with clay or something, but that's what it was. You just kind of chip away at it, see what you can do, and uh, yeah. Then I'd step away and come back, up, step away, and then one night, all of a sudden, this idea for this book came up, and I'm like, let me work on this. This feels right. And like I said, if I'm going to step into speaking about or writing a children's book about emotions, what could be, the more the most powerful or challenging emotion to go through, and that's losing a loved one. So yeah, then I just sat and molded that for a few weeks, and then submitted to them, and the word count was, yeah, I don't know, it was maybe 1,600 or something. So I didn't have to carve that much. I think the others were maybe 4,000, or that was quite a bit. And then, yeah, then I just felt really connected to this story. And they said, well, this is a tough topic, but I said, I have to do this. And so that's kind of where it went from there. So yeah, I didn't know for sure, but yeah, regardless of how well it does, it has done well. I'm floored with the receptivity of it, because yeah, ideally I'd love to speak at schools and read the book to children, but I've been concerned about, is this something you can just read in front of a classroom? I mean, it's not it's a topic that's more about in the moment. So yeah, so I'm working, figuring out ways to go with and meet with, like I said, senior centers and funeral directors and different areas. So I'll uncover as many stones as I need to help it find its lane.
I love it. I really just acknowledge you, Wade, for taking on such a difficult, you know, topic and difficult, emotional experience, and just taking that on in a way that children can actually, you know experience facing what that really is, and that what they're going through, and how to channel that into something beautiful despite how painful it is. It's yeah, it's a beautiful thing you're doing. And I had, like, a couple things just kind of popped up as you're speaking. One is, did you have to, to write for children specifically, did you need to, again, I'm going to assume you had to tap into your own inner child to be able to speak Like how did you find your voice when you're writing specifically for children?
Yeah, I guess it just wasn't that hard. Maybe it's just because I'm a child at heart. I don't know, and I'm not an intellectual by any stretch. So this just writing to this group, I felt comfortable and to, uh, yeah, there was some things that happened over. Well, uh, for 25 years, I was a business owner, just a small business owner. Did okay with it, and yeah, it worked. It was but I just yeah, a lot of things happened, and I just lost the drive to chase anymore. And so then they, I tried a number of different things, and a couple things that stood out that really stuck with me are the experience putting together a nonprofit. There's a part of that really brought out uh, that writing part of me, and it was we needed to do a lot of different things. It was just two of us that were working on it and doing it, and we had some people helping. But I was writing scripts, and that's not something I never did had done before. But the uh, the opportunity to put together stories that have some lessons in it, it really felt great. And then also one of the things I did was I was a substitute teacher. I was more of a teacher's aide. Not very good at classroom management, but I really enjoy the time with kids. So spending that time with them, I realized those two things were really lit me up. Like I said, paying attention to what feels good, and so the writing, and then the spending of time with kids, uh, uh, that's where all of a sudden I'm like, well, that's what you do when you write a book. You get to do those things. So, yeah, so making time to produce a book and continuing to being revisited, like in anything you do, by the challenges. But if it's strong enough, you keep pushing forward because you know that the overall bigger picture is something that yeah, feels great to you, and that's what's worth it. So
Yeah, I think it's noble, and it's awesome that how you're sharing it. You're going to talking to going to schools and to libraries, and something came up, and I'm just curious. In this, especially in this multimedia day and age, like, have you done any audio visual, like, for example, nowadays you could do like a YouTube reading, or you have people voice the characters and turn the page. Have you thought about doing anything like that? Just like taking the same, the same book, and just putting it in new formats.
yeah, that would be something. There, matter of fact, just last week, someone presented me. They have like a story time where there's it's like a puppy dog, and then they have your story if it qualifies. So I can do that, and I hope to do that, have that opportunity. But there's a lot of things I need to learn to do it individually myself. And but yeah, reading my story and having it done in that way. I have done over the last few years. Yeah, uh, some YouTube videos reading my first book, and then I read some of the other books that really inspired me from authors that really helped me find my lane, or just that I try to emulate. And uh, and so those are things. Yeah, I'm receptive to a lot of things, and a lot of opportunities or different things are coming out. So I'll have to reevaluate what I can do, and what's the best use of my time and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I think in this day and age, there's so many ways to get a story out.
Yeah.
And you mentioned authors that inspired you. I'm curious, what are some authors that have inspired you?
Oh, Wayne Dwyer is probably the most inspirational guy. Yeah, and Robert Holden. He's another author that's written a great deal of books, and he he's somebody that I try to read all of his things, and I'm on a like a daily uh, program to take in some of the positive, wisdom and that he that has to share on a regular basis. And um, James Van Prague is another guy that's something that's came from the Mirror Box too. I've read a number of books about the uh, let's see, near death experiences, and I think there's just some amazing messages that needed to be brought out, and I hope a little of that is seen if you dig hard enough in the Mirror Box, just to realize yeah, the beautiful place that we're connected to now and forever. So
Awesome. I mean, I haven't read all of those. A few of them I have, but I think it's well. I again, like what you're doing is you're taking a scary, complex issue for even for adults, and you're making it digestible for you know the kids, but also the kid in all of us. And I just acknowledge you for taking that on and following what you're saying about it's not always comfortable. And it's something in my experience I can totally relate with. And I feel like the sometimes the most impactful, meaningful experiences or opportunities of my life have come outside of my comfort zone. And I acknowledge you for stepping through that discomfort and really standing to share the gift that you are and that you have with this book and um, the future ones to come.
well, you as well, Abraham. I would recommend that you have your song play at the beginning and end of, of all these episodes of yours. It's a beautiful, beautiful song, and yeah, you should have it playing often and regular. It's a catchy tune that it's
I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I I will. Well, I will. I hadn't thought about doing it in the beginning, but I think that's not a bad idea. I think we'll have a little taste of it at the end when we complete. But
All right.
I mean, and I think that's true with all art and songs or stories or books. It's it's like it's repeating them. It's what I mean. It's like the oral tradition is like keeping it in the conversation. And when people get impacted by it, they're going to want to continue those are the stories that people want to share and want to hear, and passing generation to generation.
One of those lessons that I learned in the training for the children's books in the mastermind training class is a neat example, and it applies to music as well. But it's when you feed a pill to a dog, you wrap it in, steak or meat, something that they love, and uh, and then the pill is inside, and the message is inside. Just with the children's book, yeah, you need to make it enjoyable, and the colors there, you got to bring them in, and the music. That's what your music is. A very, um, yeah, nice feel to it, but the message is right there, and the fact that people will get it in their head, and yeah, you don't always pay attention to the lyrics, but they get in there anyways. And in this
No,
song, you can easily hear the lyrics as well, but yeah, it's a win-win. But that's yeah, that's kind of an observation that just came to me.
I love that. It's a appropriate metaphor or analogy there. The dog. Yeah, it's tricking a dog to swallow pills, and some dogs or cats, I should say, are easier or more difficult than others. But I think it's it's like the old adage of eating your vegetables. It's like things that we don't our identity doesn't necessarily want to hear, but if it's when it's snuck in, it's like, wait, I just had vegetables, or the dog's just like, wait, you just gave me a pill. It's like
That's
it's
right.
it's like disrupt it's very disruptive or covert, stealth operation. But I think well I think how things are received are not always the same as how we what's on the surface. And if we just say, "Hey, I'm going to teach you this, and you're going to learn spiritual enlightenment, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to be it's like by the time you explain it, you're not going to want to even. You're like you're just a snake oil salesman at this point. And I think again, that's the power again of art and of question. It is to break us out of those old concepts or those conceptual prisons that limit, you know, something we finding something that we wouldn't even look or consider or know to even look for. And I think that's the beauty of, of a story, of a song, of art is to find beauty in places that we didn't even know we could experience.
Yeah, yeah. And there's lots of authors and musicians that have similar, there's similar message, but there's certain people or personalities, maybe it's the way they look, would talk, or just the way they write, that resonate with other people. So then those people that connect to those can make an influence, and those are some of the writers and authors that uh, you know left their mark on me, because those are messages that felt right, and I just wanted more of it. And but there's others that probably are teaching the similar type of thing, but they didn't resonate with me in particular. So that's the way that's the way I see it, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's your platform, your vessel, your art. You said you earlier. You said you're not an artist. You don't have clay or molding. You're not writing crafting songs, but your clay and your molding is your words, and that's what you've created with this book. And it's you've not only put the pill in the bacon or in the in the salami, but you if we're just gonna stick with the metaphor there, you're nourishing the soul and the heart, and and it's something that's very on the surface hard to just hard pill to swallow. We're going to go with continue with that analogy.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed too, when I'm not plugging something that's me, it's just so much. I'm not nervous. I feel comfortable. This isn't about me. This is about doing, sharing something that I think is important. And so yeah, just and some of these, I mean, it's to the outside world, they say, "What is going on with this guy?" I've had countless jobs over the past 4 or 5 years, and each one of them has played a role in helping me grow in a different way. And this, yeah. So now when I walk into schools or anywhere, yeah, it's just this is where I belong. I'm just doing what I need to be doing and feels right. And if I hadn't gone through all that stuff, um, I probably wouldn't be where I'm, right now. Or so, yeah, I think so. That's a positive thing.
It really is. It's really it's amazing, and it's beautiful to to experience and to just hear you share about it, because if, there's a lot of things that shine through when you share about this book and share about yourself. But what you just said is it's not about you. Is like that shine like it's so what inspires me about you is how what you just said is how it's what you create where you choose to create in your time in this in your time and space is about something greater than you. And I think that's such a gift that we all get to receive from every time you open your mouth, or every time a stranger crosses you on the street, crosses paths with you on the street. Like they may not even know it, but who you're being is such a just an amazing impact on all, because just the space that you hold, Wade.
Thanks. Well, I'm in good company. That's for sure. You guys are, yeah, it's a safe, comfortable spot to, speak into these type of things. So thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And Matthew wasn't able to make it today, but he sent his regards. He wished he could have joined us, but he'll be with us next time. But
Okay.
I I really want to thank you, Wade, for coming on here and sharing with us what you've created. And again, congratulations on the release of the book, and just being a stand for people, for and being such a light and a compassionate, kind soul that and I feel never has it been more important, at least in my life, for people like you to be share to have the courage to share and to be the gift that you are. And I am excited, encouraged, and grateful, but also just just completely I'm moved by who you are, Wade, and what you're doing. And I'm happy to be on this journey with you.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I always like to bring up the fact that it's all has to do with the family tree and where you came from. And I have had some amazing people from my family and in my life. And yeah, just to grow up in the city that I did, there's just yeah, I, yeah, it rubs off on you. You stick your hand in the honey jar enough, the things will stick to you. And I've been around some good people, so I like to think for the most part, I'm doing all right.
Well, it's an honor and a privilege to have you be with us and share what you're up to, what you've been creating, and what you got planned. But thank you again, Wade, for being here and for being who you are, because you are a gift, and you just keep on shining your light, brother, because it's from just the view from here is inspiring.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. And the same applies to everyone else. We all have it in us. Just it's a it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thanks again, Wade. I'm gonna sign us out real quick and just check in with the audience and say to everyone, if you have a story, a piece of wisdom, a piece of insight, something, a gift that you have to share, we want to. Maybe I'm a little selfish. I want to invite you to share your gift. So that's why we're here, is to give you a space to share the gift that you are, and what you're up to in your life that's bigger than yourself. And I want to give you this platform to share and to be the gift that you are. And that's what this mission of this movement is about, is bringing you and me and communities together in joyous celebration, really unifying humanity in our diversity to create a better world for us all. And our vision is humanity is rising in a connected world with each person's unique gifts, genius, and contributions are being valued and magnified through a higher level of collaboration, producing unprecedented new realms of possibility. Thank you again so much, Wade, for being with us. Such a honor to have you, and look forward to keeping the conversation going and talking to you soon. And until and but until next time, stay well, and don't forget, everybody, one day is today. Take care, everybody.